So it's a continual dance, which is also kind of how the DNA, if you're looking at two spirals of the DNA, they're in that continual dance. It's not even a circle, it's a spiral. So the yin yang is actually a spiral if you look at it in different dimensions, and it's continually active. And that is also the dragon energy, which is
welcome to the Consciousness of the Way. I am your humble servant and Sifu, Daoist Master San Qing, and I'm so grateful to have the presence of this incredible light being, Marguerite Rigoglioso, the author of Mother. There we go. Look at that. The Secret Life of Mother Mary, and also a teacher of the Seven Sisters secret magic school. Is that correct?
Well, in a way.
Yes.
It's called the Seven Sisters Mystery School, but it is a magical mystery journey.
Yes. And so I'm so grateful to have you here, my friend. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, San. Appreciate it.
And I would love you to just a brief abbreviation of how you got to this point right now.
Yeah. Karma, and I think a mission that I came into this lifetime with that took me through many difficult times and initiations and educations, technically and inwardly, to be able to serve as a teacher, a writer, a transmitter of information, and a continual spiritual seeker. How's that?
That's it. That's all we need. Okay, thanks for coming. I appreciate that. No, it's an interesting path. I'm watching the evolution of the human's experience, the human condition. I've personally been participating consciously in this in my lifetime for about 32 years as a Daoist teacher and priest. And so you're watching the change of this degree of, what do you want to call it? A generational shift, an awareness, a greater sense of knowing. But, 30 years ago, when I had someone come to me that would be potentially having a psychotic episode, I would, attune them to a frequency, exhume or exercise whatever energy that is, and they would resume programming as usual and awaken to a greater sense of knowing. Now, that was 30 years ago. Now, today, someone would have the same experience, wake up and realize they're channeling the Palladians, open up a YouTube channel and have 100,000 followers. It's a different place to be in right now.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah. So what is your contribution, this presence, this visceral, kinesthetic, somatic experience that we're experiencing right now in communion of this moment? I'm witnessing this frequency that you're transmitting as you, with your own words, your admission of a transmitter. I'm experiencing that. Anyone that knows me or is a student, disciple, teacher, subscriber, anyone that's involved in the stuff that I do loves these conversations because it's an experience. It's experiential. It's right now. And so what we're having right now is this communion, this oneness that it's experiencing, and this frequency that I can only attribute to for what I can see. And it has this very angelic presence. And quite frankly, not to be potentially hypnotized, but I see Mother Mary very clearly right now. So tell us more about your transmission, because it is very, very powerful.
Blessed be. Thank you, San. And, I just came from my monthly Mary and Magdalene Empowerments Circle, which meets the third Thursday of every month, and came right into this conversation. So I've definitely been transmitting, because I do have what I received is I do have a transmission. My mission is to work with the oracle state, the trance state, to bring forth information, right? And so of recent years, I've been very focused on opening to the energy of the Marys, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and many other Marys that are, have walked the planet and are walking the planet now, are developing, because it's the time now for this Mary energy, which goes back to originally it's Mary energy in the Egyptian, which is divine love, divine wisdom, divine womb knowledge. It's the time now for this to reopen on the planet because we need it for our personal healing. We need it for our planetary awakening. And so I've just been very occupied with working with these two beings who are really just mirrors of our own soul. That's the main thing that they've been teaching me, and that I've been teaching people in my Mary and Magdalene priestess training and beyond, that they are but mirrors for what is the higher self of ourselves. They're not here to be worshipped. They're not here to be genuflected to. They're just here to help us understand what's within us, the Sophia Christos within. And obviously that's a big conversation.
Woo! Amen to that, my dear friend. That is really profound, because I would ask you, the next question would be, are you sure you're not Daoist? And okay, how does that even come about that you would even ask that question? Because from a Daoist perspective, the true essence of this very moment is what we call the Wu Ji. And that is the primordial mother, which is the seed of creation. From the void comes the light. From the light is the speck of creation within the womb, the primordial womb. You create life. You create everything, which would be representative of what you speak of, which is so profound that we're having this conversation. And the substance that is present right now, the visceral feeling, the feeling you're getting, the feeling I'm getting, that pulpability that is the tangible now moment, is evident because it's beyond the electromagnetic spectrum. This is perfection. And that is the evidence. And that's all you need. As I always remind people, if you are thinking, you are not knowing. If you're knowing, you are feeling. And I am feeling, my dear friend.
Blessed be. Blessed be. Yeah, because this is about the unity of all religions, all traditions, all spiritualities. It's really the same thing, just coming in different dress, different garb, different cultural timings, different genders, and so forth. But the Marys right now there's just an opportunity to awaken to exactly what you're talking about through them. And so for many people that's useful because they identify with them, they have some connectivity, but it's all getting at ideally the same thing.
The
inner divinity, the spark of light within, that is what I call the Sophia Christos, or the, like you're saying, the sacred, the holy womb of it all, masculine, feminine, the pleroma levels of reality, the light, the grand cosmic light.
The vesicle point, the center point.
That's
the return. It's interesting that you mentioned that. What is the significance of the number 9? Because there seems to be 9 Marys around you at this point, from what I could see.
Okay.
Is relevant to that 9 number and the different facets, because they're quite frankly quite different. From what I could see, they embody the spectrum of light, and then they embody also the crystalline form of the metals, which is platinum, gold, silver.
Wow.
And have a real attunement to that gold, which is in essence, from many different indigenous practices, resorts right back to the Godhead, the center point, the pure essence of now, which would be the primordial. Yeah.
And so the 9, I've been working with the Marys a lot on the level of the 7. It's about the 7th dimension, as I see it. That's one way of seeing it. And so when I work with the Marys on the level of the 7, That has to do with the 7th-dimensional frequency, also represented by the Pleiades and the 7 mothers of our world, who brought energy and DNA to our human bodies and so forth. The 9, as I see it, would be the 9th dimension, which is more now getting into the Andromedan energies and frequency. And so these Marys can be in multiple dimensions, and how you experience and see them is different depending on the dimension you're in. So with my classes, I'm working a lot with them on the 7th dimension, but it would be that, a few years from now, she could really be on the 9s. Okay. And working into the Andromedan, and what does that name, galaxy, dimensionality have to do with us? What are they teaching us? What are they offering us at that 9th dimension? So very cool if you're seeing nine Marys. I love it.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything has potential, right? I mean, if we dilute this back to something more simplistic on a psychologist, hypnotherapist, physicist level, we're looking at ideograms, motor response, which is the evidence of divinity within your physical flesh, your human expression. You're attuning to this. Right. Yeah. So, a level of clairvoyance is just something that I teach people, which is part of the sensory perception, which goes with mediumship, channeling, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I mean, this is the mystery of the mystery of the mystery, as you put it within your mystery school. These are kind of ancient rituals that have been handed down from generation to generation within Daoism for thousands of years. But it is a gnosis, a self-realized knowing that comes when you master these types of awareness, this sensory perception that we speak of. So developing these clear senses is a clear indicator for someone to validate it within this material, this 3D, as you put it, dimension. And for the audience, we can't be observing a 3D if we're not already in a 4D. So that fourth dimensional potential is one slither away from what we would perceive as a 5th dimension. Within Taoism, we call it a frequency, frequential. Basically, everything is frequency. It's a currency that we work with in this material. It's like how it is.
Yeah, that's really very beautiful. And one of the things that I'm taking the women through in my Marian Magdalene Priestess training are the 6 senses mystery initiation journey. That is, believe it or not, I discovered is encoded in the Cluny unicorn tapestries, in which the sacred woman, the priestess, the Mary experiencer, goes through an initiation into the higher dimensions through each successive sense, beginning with taste, going to smell, going to sight, touch. We go to the 5 hearing, and then we go into the 6th sense, right, which is the one that catapults you into whatever your next dimension is with all of those. So it is about sacralizing the body, sacralizing the senses, or recognizing the sacrality of the body, and the fact that each of these faculties is a portal to higher consciousness. Each of the chakras is a portal to higher consciousness. Probably every cell and black hole within our, our atoms is a portal to consciousness. So whatever entry point you want to use, but we'll use the gross level of the senses, since that's identifiable, as the entry point for mystery journeys. And so then I take women on these mystery journeys through each of those. We have a ceremony associated with each one. And, it's just been a fascinating experience. What comes up?
Wow. I mean, you start giving people a little bit of a taste. So you're going down that physics path of the black hole energy, the entanglement, the secret source, the juju that keeps everything together, that gives a definition, by location or non-location, the realization of that present moment, which is beyond light speed, from a physicist's perspective. Now, someone that brings that to the attention of the community today would be someone that I recall, Nassim Haramein. I don't know whether you've heard of this guy. So he's got an interesting theory. Again, still theories, because the numbers and the formulas speak volumes, but we're in a moment in consciousness within human evolution that is experiential. It's not about numbers and knots and zeros and ones. It's about show me. I'm a Pepsi challenge guy from the 80s.
Right.
Show me. I want to see it. I want to experience that. And that transmutation, that black hole that you're speaking of, is so beautiful, because this is a cultivational eternal alchemy practice that Daoists have been using for thousands of years, which is the death of a star, revealing of that spirit energy, and the opening of a black hole, which in essence is abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite, and the source to all things, which is the primordial mother, the void.
That's right. That's right. Because as I've been led to understand it, the black hole leads directly to the white hole, which is the birthing of the next universe out of itself. So this is a whole parthenogenetic virgin divine birth process of the universe in its eternal creation, which is where the virgin birth priestesses come in, like Mother Mary and so forth, and the technologies that they were working with. We can go into that. And also I wanted to mention that also one thing I've been shown is that that connective tissue of everything is actually love. And it transcends every single dimension possible. So love is in every dimension, and it's the great unifier. So it's the great unifier of matter. It's the great unifier of, spirit and matter, light, and it is the great unifier, again, of all the dimensions. And it can be experienced as an emotion. So that's where the show me can come in. Like, all right, Nassim, fabulous, numerical, wow. And then we can have the experience of what he's saying by tuning into the level of love, which is heart, the heart. And what I've been shown is that at the heart chakra, and every chakra is the seed of life image. It's the 12 petaled round circles that meet at a point, and that's the 0 point. That's the actual seed of life, the origin of everything. And you can start generating it as a tube torus within you, as though those circles are circulating in 3D. They're opening, opening, opening. And this is sometimes seen as the opening of the rose or the opening of the lotus. And so the jewel in the lotus is the 0 point of the love light that we've been talking about since the beginning. And you can literally, by seeing these ball bearings of the 12 ball bearings, starting to circulate and open, you can bring that light right out into your Merkaba field, your light body. And that's a very great strengthening of the physical body and the alchemical body. And it is a form of growth and initiation that you can go through. And when you bring in the light of it, and when you bring in the love of it, the love emotion, that's another layer that you're accessing and adding onto it. So that's a process that I take the women through in the priestess training as well. I have like a guided meditation for that. And anyone can do it. Just hearing what I said and doing it yourself, you can go and do it and explore and see, well, what does that feel like? What does it lead to over time?
That's absolutely amazing. I love watching the basically revelation, revealing the return to that center point that comes from all indigenous practices. There's a million ways up the mountain. From a Taoist perspective, where it's very simplistic, the deciphering code for reality is yin and yang.
And I love that yin and yang.
Right.
It's coming again and again. It is the core image. I mean, it's become so like overused and new agey, but really it can never be overused enough, because if we really get with it, that is describing reality, where we've come from, where we're going, and all of the alchemical processes we can work with within it. So, you know.
I would concur. I would agree. I mean, it's been a method of realization for self-realization for Daoists for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It seems to be a universal language that people gravitate to. And quite frankly, the essence of all that is quite simple. Everything is contracting and expanding at the same time.
That's right.
All things and nothing at the same time. The reality is a bellows. A Daoist looks at reality as a bellows. And the center point of that is between the breath in and the breath out. That is the Wu Ji. That is the primordial mother. That is perfection. And to obtain that, then you hold that resonance. And that charge you got validates what it is that we're having, which is an oscillating effective realization that beyond the thought, if you're thinking, you are not knowing. If you're knowing, you are feeling. And that feeling is the validation that we need to know. It doesn't matter what we say. You're experiencing it right now to be your truth.
Yeah.
And that is the power of what we speak of. And so when you access that center point, we reveal what we call Wu Wei, effortless action, effortless effort. As Bruce Lee would say back in the 70s, the flow, baby, the flow.
That's
the
right.
synchronistic, serendipitous now moment that can only be realized from the primordial mother. That means you're no place, person, or thing to realize that is the now moment. That charge you and I got right now, that is it. That is the realization, the revealing of it that makes it true.
It's really true. And it's interesting how Wu Wei has been turned into woo woo, you know, as a means of dismissing what we're talking about and all that. Be that as it may, we just continue to return to the love and just release all of those negativities that get shown upon the types of things that we're doing.
Well, I think you make a valid point, because until otherwise noted, you're basically exposed and you are subjected to this electromagnetic spectrum. So what is dualistic will always be limited as that.
Oh my gosh, you know, and there comes in that yin yang, which is trying to grapple with the duality into a unified whole that is it's completely non-static. It's continually active. So the unification of the duality is eternal. It's an eternal process that's happening continually in an alive universe that is expanding. And any one of those polarities can get out of whack and out of control. And that's how, you know, the negative forces and the AI works to get it all skewed out. Like, let's get yang going over here and create patriarchy. Oh gosh, no, let's, you know. So it's a continual dance, which is also kind of how the DNA, if you're looking at two spirals of the DNA, they're in that continual dance. It's not even a circle, it's a spiral. So the yin yang is actually a spiral if you look at it in different dimensions, and it's continually active. And that is also the dragon energy, which is static and in motion at the same time. The way that a barbershop pole is static, but it has that red candy cane thing going through it. That's like one of the symbols of how you can see dragon energy of the universe. And it is the primordial creative mother, essentially. That you can call Sophia, you know, I can call it Sophia, or whatever name you would like to give it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it returns to that notion within that. You know, most people refer to the, as you said, the torus field, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's contracting and expanding.
Yes.
That's the simplicity of it. But we reveal it within Taoism as a torrid field, which means celestial heat, which in essence, you go deeper into that as a really powerful center point, which is what we call the primordial hurricane, the tornado, where the still lies within that.
Because it's spiral. It's like continually, it's not even one point. It's like a continual spiral, right? Into other dimensions, I mean, that are kind of infinite, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we even just use Nassim's theory, and this is something that I've been teaching people for 30 years, but Taoists have known it for thousands. So I'm going to say hundreds of thousands. I don't really care whether someone wants to be skeptical about that. The truth is that primordial energy, that mother energy, is the revealed center point of the sun, which is the reflection of the primordial mother within this polarizing spectrum.
Yeah.
So then you create the sun, that sun then transmits the energy that would reveal this center point that you speak of, this dragon energy that you speak of, which is the light spectrum of the sun on the magnetic field of the earth, which is the center point of that, which is the rainbow. And that center point of the rainbow is the green and pink hue.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the green and pink hue. And and let me just add that's what would be, what you're describing would be the female Christ, the female solar Christ, right?
Well, everything comes from the primordial mother and returns to it. That's right. People are like, you just say mother? Oh, damn straight I did. I'm not delusional. I know where the energy comes.
That's such a revelation in a world in which that energy has been suppressed or hidden by certain forces that whatever. That's a whole story. But yeah, that, what did you say? It was pink and
pink and green hue.
Pink and green hue.
Now, most indigenous practices reveal that as the rainbow body. Now, a lot of people propagate this notion, and I'm getting really exhausted personality-wise of these people that claim they can teach someone the rainbow body. Personally, I will teach you the Nidan, the internal alchemy, revealing the Nigong, the internal power, which is ancient and ancient Daoist internal alchemy practice has been around for thousands of years. The difference is the cauldron, because we look at these as dantians, they're called energy elixir. They're similar to a chakra, right?
Yes.
So there's three dantians that are primarily the most important thing for a Taoist alchemist. Upper dantian is the sun, which is the light. Middle dantian is the earth, which is the information. Lower dantian is the moon, and it's the energy, baby. And so with that, you go to the primordial mother. The answer to everything comes from there. Not the yang energy, the yin energy, the combination of the two create that, because it always returns from the yin. The yin returns to the yang is a reflection of the yin. Does this make sense?
Yeah. It does. I mean, I've been working that for quite some time. It's like, so the yin yang is both a masculine and a feminine, but the whole on of the whole thing is essentially feminine. You know what I mean?
Primordial, yeah.
And that can be a little hard for some people to hear,
I mean, this is how you develop clairsenses, right? When I develop someone's yin eyes, is their inner workings to that spirit realm and the ability to access instant manifestation, magic healing. This is what someone will refer to as this 0-point scalar wave, black hole energy is perfection. It's abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. Once you hit that event horizon of a black hole, that is evident. It goes beyond the spectrum of the electromagnetism that we speak of. But when you master this, it's exciting because that potential gives you the ability to be the maestro.
That's right.
50 trillion cells that you possess as human flesh that looks back at you in the mirror that you might identify as your personality, but it is nothing more than a vehicle, an anchor to this, as you put it, realm.
Right.
That will realize your consciousness, your spiritual consciousness right now.
And these are the Merlins, and these are the priestesses of old. And I believe that the Sophia Christos family, as I call it, encoded in like the Gnostic Gospels, all the Essene material, that's really what they were living. And that's what they were attempting to help humanity access again. And so, yeah, these are all very important processes. I'm wondering if you might want to go into the concept of the black hole going through into the white hole and then giving birth, and
Right.
how that is connected to that divine birth template picture, is connected to divine birth of the sacred priestesses who once knew how to conceive in different ways.
Right.
Which is the Mary and the Magdalene, the Mother Mary and the Magdalene, and many other sacred high holy women who were giving birth to star beings through that process.
Right. I mean, once you attune to this, you alchemize this state within your physical body. The energetic potential is realized through the architecture, which is so much an important part of the ritual, which is the method that you share with others. The method that I share with others is the whole potential of the validation, the self-realization, the gnosis that people are desiring and looking for, to transmute it into this material. This is the whole point, that ritual and these ancient practices must not be lost. They must be found. We must return back to that knowing. And that is that charge that you and I are getting right now. It's that oscillating effect. And so when you take the platinum, the gold, the silver, and it's the crystallized effect of that within a alchemical process that reveals the primordial mother. And it becomes crystalline within this material. So now you're able to separate electric from magnetic. You're able to create anything and everything due to your attention intention. It is no longer a separation where you're thinking as if your thoughts are separate from your knowing. This is all part of the primordial cloth that we speak of. This is all a distortion, as one of my dear friends, a Buddhist monk, would say. He's looking to observe the dukkha, the distortion of this reality. It's all cut from the cloth of perfection, the primordial mother. And your attention intention, just like the wave, the matter, the particle, making it realized as a form of energetic potential that has a vibration, has a frequency, and if met with that resonance, it becomes yours. Oh, yes, it will be yours. Now, this realization is where most manifesting teachers and coaches and all this kind of stuff offer this opportunity to continually be separate, which comes down to I am, right? Which is a misdirection in of itself. You briefly spoke on the misdirection and the potential of discernment. This is still very much a very critical part of the Gnostic path of knowing for any seeker, is to realize that there is an underlying messaging that will continue to have you separate from this now moment, that you are the primordial mother. And I think that becomes the distortion. Does this make sense?
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah. Where I take I am is to I am that. I am. Right. So it's not even an I am, but it's I am everything. So that's kind of what I've been teaching. And I think that is there in that Hebrew statement of the name of God or whatever, but you kind of have to go to that part of it, in order to not get stuck in what you're saying. The I amness as like a sense of aloneness or separation from the Godhead, which is where the angels got stuck. Right.
Well, and that's the part where people get derailed. Because I am, for you to, I've never witnessed a physical healing, and I've seen hundreds of them instantaneously.
Yeah.
That means I'm talking about transmutation of, a distorted sense. And one of the first ones I ever witnessed 30 years ago was gangrenous flesh turning back to pink in color in 40 minutes. That before my very eyes. I watch bones fuse, tumors disintegrate. You name it, I've seen it. I've seen it all. And it happens on a daily basis. The truth is, right, is that for that to happen, I'm no place, person, or thing. I'm
That's
just
right. So it might be better to say even than I am or I am that, I am not.
Right. Right.
Right? You have to kind of hold it all at the same time. I am that, I am not.
Well, I was going to say, sorry.
There's that koan in Parmenides that claims that Persephone went to the underworld or something like that and saw or experienced being and non-being, and there was the claim that but both could not exist at the same time. And I was like, oh yes, they can. Being and non-being can exist at the same time. That's the 0 point of the black hole going into the white hole. That is the equipoise point that you and I are talking about. That is the point of power. So you have to hold beingness and non-beingness at the same time. And then you can get somewhere, wherever that is, which is nowhere.
And as you would say, I don't want to be verklempt and facaded over all this kind of stuff. It's it's just potentially a Meshuggah losing their sense of knowing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We totally know what you're saying, San. All right, over there.
Exactly.
So, like just when you think you've got it all sewn up, then you get disabled by I am not. I am that, I am, and you have to keep in motion. And that's the whole dragon thing. It's never static. So you have to hold the opposites at the same time, the beingness and the non-being. It's continual motion. And if you can get with that, then you're getting somewhere, which again is nowhere.
And I mean, that reverts right back to when I talk about how we see things as a bellows. And as it contracts and expands at the same time, what is the potential? The potential is when you realize you're at your lowest, you're really at your highest.
That's right.
To make that choice. And then it becomes validated in that self-realization with that energetic potential. That's the whole purpose of this barometer. This physicality is a tuning fork to validate this very knowing. And that's the dismissed direction that most people get on. They don't realize, holy moly, when I hear someone go, I ascended to the highest level and I was nothing at all and I couldn't, that's just absolute, I'm sorry, I'm going to debunk it as a little nonsensical, because your sensory perception becomes heightened to a level where just someone inhaling and exhaling, you can feel it reverberate through your very being as you cultivate this practices. So that's why the practice in the mystery school that you teach people is so critical to someone's own journey of gnosis, of returning to that truth, and that your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. And when someone gives you an absolute, that absolute, you should about face and run in the other direction. These are templates for people. Your teaching is teaching someone to return to who they are, which is the knowing, which is I'm no place, person, or thing. And when you are able to obtain that it's a frequency, it's a resonance. When you hold that resonance, it will be self-evident. You will experience it.
Yeah, which I think is how the Jesus and the Marys were able to walk around the world from that place, ideally. And so how do you walk in the world of 3D and radiate what you're talking about? I think a lot of us are on that path of exploration.
And it has to be shown. Like, for me, the Pepsi challenge is this: show me. People are, okay, I've got this cultivational practice, Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. So what's an exhibited fact for you that is self-realized, that what you're experiencing is not a psychotic episode, but a realized material now moment. And that's where you remove the veil. The primordial mother is the now moment. You are the now moment. You are now the maestro. So where your intention goes, the energy flows, transmuting into whatever it may be, whatever it is. Right. Healing is instant, manifestation is instant, magic is instant, and it will be shown to you. It will be shown to others. That's the purpose of this incredible gift, is for you to raise that frequency, right? Humanity, from a Daoist perspective, the journey here is you're an ambassador to planet Earth.
Yeah.
as are many throughout the galaxy, throughout the universe. They are ambassadors to that planet that they reside on. And through their own exploration, their own self-realized knowing, they go from human condition to a belief system to a knowing that they are all things and nothing.
Yeah.
And that will be shown through that ability to create.
Yeah.
And this, you will know you're there because it's a selflessness, it's a servitude. You don't have to think about it. You are just now, you are present. And there will be no need to contort some idea of what reality is. Well, what do I get out of this if I do this, I do that? No, you're just now.
Yeah.
And everyone's experienced it at least once in their lifetime. Oh, I remember when I did that. Or, well, to return to that is only momentary. All you got to do is hang out with us, and that frequency will be revealed. And that's the whole point of it. This could be now. It could take you a few weeks, a few months to remember. It could take you the next 3 seconds. I attest to that because I experienced it over 30 years ago. I went from physical stuff, which was like bodybuilding and powerlifting, to an idea in my head that you need to meditate, didn't know what that was, to literally going into my first stage of meditation, and I literally experienced complete stillness and silence. Wow. In the same second my teacher shared it with me. I was sitting there like a big overgrown gorilla in lotus position, back pain, in a little rec center with a bunch of half basically beggars. We're all beggars. We wanted something free, a little meditation class from this guru, like a grandmaster. And all this noise was going on. There was cars blaring, all this kind of stuff, dogs barking, stuff outside the rec center. I'm thinking, I can't do this. I crush things. I can't focus my attention. This cute little Asian woman telling me I'm going to be enlightened. I'm like, yeah, right. I was so skeptical. And she said, listen to my voice and watch everything fall away. And when she said away, I witnessed this with my eyes open. And I went, I'm looking around in this silence.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for at least 15 minutes.
Blessed
and
be.
I was blown away. I was like, this is the most powerful thing that I have ever experienced in my natural born life. Forget about moving the weights and crushing them and lifting. This is the secret source. And of course, that took me on my journey. And a few days later, I did a channeling class, channeled Lao-Tzu, my teacher, within one go. And that teacher, again, had a apoplectic, meltdown because they spent 60 years biologically chasing this channeling stuff. And some overgrown gorilla walks in and goes, yeah, wow. And so that charge of Lao-Tzu is that visceral experience. As you know, as a channeler yourself, when you attune yourself to these transmissions, you have a very deep visceral experience that will conduct itself within that oscillating hot and cold experience of yin and yang, and it will show itself as the primordial mother or a reflection of that, the yang energy, which is a reflection of the primordial mother. And it will be shown to the observer, and it will be instant, and it goes through your whole physical body.
Yeah.
And this is something as a channel, you can identify that.
Yeah.
I can hand over a flame and leave it there for a minute or two, and it will not affect the human flesh because I'm transmitting something not of this realm.
Right, right. Marguerite hasn't quite gotten to that stage yet. She wouldn't try it. I call what you're describing entheos or ecstasy because I experience it as feeling one with the divine, and it is ecstatic. And I also wanted to mention that Lao-Tzu was divinely born of his mother, and Lao-Tzu, and there was another one. One was by the mother drinking soma, or a hallucinogen, and the other was from a falling star. Lao-Tzu was his mother conceived him through a falling star. These are divine birth conception stories. So he was a very high avatar already, coming in by virtue of the method through which he had been conceived, which was not a tantric sexual union of her with a man, but it was her engaging the universe and her own yin yang to come together and have that conception and bring in a star being.
Oh, I mean, he goes into great detail to explaining his birth and his
cool. Cool, because I haven't read it. I just have that little shard, his mother, conceived through a falling star. All right, I know the whole story.
Yeah,
but
well,
I also have the details,
Well, it starts back with the seed of the mentoring of Jade Emperor to Yellow Emperor, who was magnetized to the earth for 18 days and nights and was downloaded the Chinese culture as you know it through the whispers of the universe, which was the creation of that. And then that Yellow Emperor then mentored Latsu, as he was also a creation of the universe. Wow. Which would turn to attribute and validate what you're speaking of. Yes. Now, he goes into great detail through his, basically as a young boy, he almost drowned in a local river, and he broke his ankle. He drew himself, swam to the side of the river, and basically had a thought to fuse his ankle. His ankle instantly healed before his very eyes, and he became an actual healer within his local village, and then it transmuted out into a wise sort of like teacher that transmitted the Tao Te Ching as we know it today, which is basically a reflection of the primordial mother. So the Tao Te Ching is what we call the magical register. So each verse is an incantation of your relationship with the primordial mother. As you speak it, it is revealed to you and brings you back to a whole. And each incantation has 81 levels of consciousness with a frequency, a color, and a shape that goes with that. Wow. And so I just transmitted that. I transcribed it with Latsu not 2 months ago, and his 2024 version I published. And that's the essence of the magical register, which is a journey for a Daoist.
Blessed be, my goodness. And, all these men, Buddha, Lao Tzu, the peacemaker of the Haudenosaunee tradition, John the Baptist, many, many beings, they were born through specialized conception practices of their mother. And so one of the things that I bring through in my historical research and my esoteric research is the role of the woman's womb, in the high priestess's womb, in the advancement of our planet, the healing of our planet, the bringing forth of avatars into three-dimensional reality so that we can be helped along. So that's just a big topic that I've been involved in for at least 20 years now. And it's part, as I see it, it's part of the return of the feminine. It's the return of the understanding of the holy womb chakra, as Sri Kaleshwar calls it, which is both an attribute of human women and it's an attribute of universal mother.
Right, which is validated through that processes. As a Taoist, it comes from the void, the primordial mother, and returns to the light, which is the seed of creation and the development and creation and birth of human life over a 9 cycle. Yeah. And that 9 cycle is representative. Oh yeah. Okay. So we don't call it the universe for no reason. The uterus is the universe. We have a Ru Yi. Right. We have a Ru Yi that we use within magical incantation and ritual that we refer to that Ru Yi that accesses that uterus, the universe, the primordial.
Yes.
It builds itself in deeper layers of magic, which in turn will transmute into this material.
Yes. Wow. Amazing. Yes. Years ago, I had received that the universe was a uterus, and the uterus is a universe. Okay. And that's how women can do divine conception through an understanding of that process and using their womb as a portal for those higher beings to come in. So the work of Sri Kaleshwar, the late Hindu saint, has been in his holy womb chakra teachings that a number of us learned in our teaching and our practicing within our bodies, is an important part of the female, let's say, Taoist, if you will, the female mysteries that need to come back on board, because there are certain things that can only be done through the holy womb chakra of which men have the fragrance through their Nada Bindu point, which is a floating point an inch and a half below the navel, according to Sri Kaleshwar. So this doesn't discount anyone, but women, because they have the physical uterus, have an extra special strength to this power and this ability. And these mysteries are these teachings are starting to be revealed again.
And I mean, that refers back to what I was speaking of with that alchemical processes, that primordial energy comes from the lower dantian, the lower field, right? So that's where you access the energy. That's where you access the magic within Taoism. And so it goes against all the practices that have been propagated here in this realm in human history, which is why very few people can materialize that type of alchemy.
Yes.
And that's teaching. I love teaching people that, because the misdirection is, all the fire, all the condensing of energy comes in the lower dantian as fire. No. You've made a very big mistake, my dear friends. You have been misdirected. Mm-hmm. And that these containers can still hold the energy and the potential and the knowing that comes from the light, the information, and the energy is the lower dantian, the primordial mother. The magic is revealed. And from that, the moon energy. Right? Yeah. And so that is very, very powerful when you understand that. And as you already do. But most people go, holy moly, I don't know. You just said something that my whole body is reverberating, because I know it's true. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. And it's now being able to access that potential and materialize it into something that's self-realized, that can be shown, not just this conceptual stuff, which so many people go on and on and on about. Just show me the magic, show me a healing, show me whatever. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, really? Yeah. Let's do this. Go.
Yeah.
People, oh my goodness. I the stars are not aligned. My angels aren't here. I'm not ready. Dude, this is not about you.
Right. Wow, that's beautiful. And I think it's partly why Sri Kaleshwar was very focused in this layer of his teachings on the clearing of the womb. The clearing of the womb chakra, the clearing of the Nada Bindu point through these mantric practices that he collected from the ancient palm leaf manuscripts that he said came from the Sapta Rishis, the 7, angelic master rishi guardians of the world, who, if you trace it back far enough, they are the spouses of the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, and all of this information goes back to his divine mother, right? So it's coming through these various lineages, and that the clearing of the holy womb is really important now for women and men to release some of what's accrued to the womb space that has been preventing people from being able to access that power. And perhaps it's just one way of this process and this clearing. And, you may know of others, but I've definitely been tuned into that process. Yeah. And it says that the Marys and Jesus were connected with it, and that they contributed knowledge to the Holy Womb Chakra system of teachings, and they contributed to the ancient palm leaf manuscripts, the writings and diagrams and mantras that were written on these palm leaves that were just pounded into paper and so forth. So.
Yeah. I mean, it does. It's amazing how it comes and returns back to the same center point. Yeah. Within Daoism, we have the three highest expressions of the primordial mother as immortalized versions of the 3 stages of the development of the cosmos, which is supreme purity, jade purity, and highest purity, which are the keepers. Supreme purity is the keeper of light, jade purity is the keeper of the information, and highest purity is the keeper of the energy and the magic.
Wow.
And yeah, you felt that one, my friend.
Yeah, I see Sophia as connecting all of those. She's the wisdom, she's the love, and she's the womb power. Literally, her name is connected with the womb and the uterus in ancient Greece. So there's so much in this mystery. It's amazing. And as we are reclaiming and weaving this knowledge together within ourselves, we're able to access more and more of what you're talking about. You're coming from one particular tradition, and there are many others. I'm kind of weaving together things that I'm discerning, right? And a lot of the women in this circle are doing the same. Like everyone's contributing one or more threads to this tapestry.
And it becomes self-realized.
Yeah.
And that experiential moment is the only way that happens. You must experience it yourself. That visceral, kinesthetic, somatic now moment is the knowing. That's how it works. Yes. And when people are being the Sherlock to their Watson, elementary, my dear Watson, oh, this is those crumbs that you pick up. And as we commune together and oscillate as this very now moment, this experience for an observer is all they need to access that frequency. And that frequency can be met with that resonance. And that is basically a cultivation, a method, a practice that can be repeatable if you are given to discern and affirm what is the true nature of your cultivational practices and what resonates with you. That's the most important thing. Then have that realized, because all of it's conceptual.
And that's why for a lot of women, the Marian information resonates for them. It's just a doorway. It's one facet of this same crystal that we're talking about, but it's a very good, useful, and helpful one for us to enter into these mysteries by. And for many of us, we feel that it's, the feminine flavor, of these mysteries, which is appealing to a lot of people. So that's what's happening here in part.
And you mentioned that the crystal, the facet. We identify the primordial mother as perfection, the diamond. And your dialogue with your information returns you to the monologue that is the knowing.
Yeah.
So that is that communion, that oscillating effect, that symbiotic relationship, the torrid field, the contracting and expanding, the now moment, that center point, the Wu Ji, which is like you are Luke Skywalker entering the Death Star. You want to hit that, and then you want to expand it. And then you want to expand again, and you want to expand again, and you want to expand again. And then you return to a realization that is your default. That's the truth.
Yes. Wow. What an amazing, I am really enjoying listening to you. I kind of am experiencing you as a Merlin, and I love that there are various traditions that have this deep esoteric knowledge. And when I hear what you're talking about, I get further activated. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's like I like giving people the culmination of like Big Trouble in Little China met Last Airbender, and they had a baby. And this is the type of stuff that I love to experience, because that excites the curiosity that turns into the seeking that reveals the knowing. And it can only be entered that way. The gateway of the imagination is how that happens. So however you gravitate to that realization then has to be repeatable. And, my goodness, the stories we could have right now, my dear friend.
Yes.
And, we have to revisit this conversation at some point.
All right. Well, we'll see when and how that might happen. I truly appreciate your invitation and how this has gone.
Yeah, this has been amazing. Well, as you speak of, the mirroring effect, we're oscillating with each other. We're mimicking that primordial mother, and that's where we come to the communion of the knowing, and that effect is being materialized with that energetic potential, and you can experience it.
Yes.
And that's the union. That's the union right there. That's that beyond what Nassim would say, the unified field, the oneness, the singular.
Yeah. And it took a conversation for it to kind of expand out, you know, you can understand why God got a little lonely being just one. You know, so it's like he or she had to split out to kind of have conversations, essentially.
Yeah.
How's that?
To have that knowledge. So I'm like a giddy little kid. The first time I experienced this over 30 years ago, it's the same thing. It continues as if it's the first time I've ever experienced it. And that is that childlike state that most gurus talk about. Be childlike in your nature.
Yeah.
Accept everything at face value. And people are like, whoa, there is a progression to that realization. But, you know, I wouldn't just go out and just end up in some sort of like a pyramid scheme, you know, within network marketing. But I'm talking about the energetic potential. And you get that through your seeking. You take it from a hope to a belief system to a knowing that is realized with that method. And that's why the ritual, the ancient techniques that you and I are sharing are so critical to that person's journey for that Gnostic realization. Because without it, you just get this fleeting moments, this transitory sort of like I like to call it the bite of the spiritual dragon. You get a little taste of it, and then you're chasing it for the rest of your natural born life, never obtaining it, and you end up like Steve Jobs going, "Oh, it's much brighter than I thought," and you just move right along.
Right.
You know,
Oh my
self-professed sort of like Buddhist that never really realized that because he was trapped in an emotional state. And that emotional state transmuted into a physical element that in turn consumed his physicality.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yes. And right. More to be said on that one. But anyway, yes. Wow. Well, San, thank you.
Well, thank you, my dear friend. I really am grateful that you were able to share some time with us today. And it was magical realization, I think, for both of us, definitely for me.
For me, for sure. I've so enjoyed this. And I really send out our conversation with a blessing to others who will be hearing it. And may they receive nourishment and inspiration from it.
Yeah. And with that, last ending question is, what is your definition of spiritual consciousness?
Well, it encompasses, you know, an understanding of everything we've been talking about here. And to my mind, it has to do with opening to the deeper levels of knowing of this infinitely progressing spiral, going through infinite dimensions. And, you know, we can just start from wherever we are in our human earth walk, and we can find that path of that illumination and that enlightenment and begin to experience deeper and deeper levels of this fascinating awakening that, you know, ultimately leads us into this ecstatic connection with the divine.
Whew. Wow. That's amazing. I've done hundreds of these podcasts, never got the same answer, and that is beautiful. It's like, you know, it's like so reflectant of the simplicity. Lao-Tzu was asked that question, and his answer was quite simple. Imagine you're like a grain of sand, asking the beach, what are we doing today? Fall back into the beach and be realized.
Yeah.
It's all right now.
Yeah. So we're all falling back into the beach to be realized.
So profound.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for you. I'm grateful that we have become reunited, and you know, we haven't gone over the incarnation, reincarnation, but I can clearly see we have had many bonds in past lives, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, likewise.
Again.
Likewise.
Thank you so much, my dear friend.
All right, San. You're welcome. I appreciate you and being here.
I want to thank you. I want to thank the universe for bringing you into my life. I want to thank the audience for sharing their time with us today. I am your humble servant and Sifu, Daoist Master Sun Qing, And I'll see you on the next one, guys.
Bye for now.